What's up, everybody? My name is Josh LaFleur with Late Start Piano. Today, we're going to be talking about why some people learn the piano a lot faster than other people. We're going to be talking about why that happens and how, of course, you can also learn faster than everybody else around you. So, without further ado, point number one, why do people learn faster and how you can too is they are consistent. A very simple point, very easy to understand, not always easy to implement. But people who make progress fast on the piano, they are consistent. So they practice usually, I would say daily. They practice every single day, Monday through Sunday. If it's a holiday, if it's raining out, if it's really cold out, if their kid is sick, if they are sick, whatever, they practice every single day. It might not be for a long time. It might only be for 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, but they practice every single day. And the consistency piece is huge because as you are practicing this, what you are learning is compounding, right? So it's like Einstein talked about how compounding was the eighth wonder of the world when it came to finances, because you put money in, and then it grows and grows and grows over time, and then your balance gets bigger, and then that gets bigger, and that gets bigger, and it keeps going. Same thing with practicing the piano. Everything gets built off what you already know. So if you're practicing consistently, you're practicing every single day, you are constantly starting at a higher spot and then building off that, and building off that, and building off that. And that's why they are progressing a lot faster. So you can compare that to people who don't practice every day. They're going to have a much slower rate of progress because they're not being consistent. Point number two, why some people progress a lot faster and how you can too, is they have a teacher. So this alone is so crucial, especially if you're a beginner, especially if you are an adult, because it can be really frustrating for you to start at square one. Because if you're an adult, that means you probably are proficient at something, right? So whether it's your job that you get paid for professionally, whether it's some kind of other hobby that you're really good at, maybe you have some kind of unique skill set that you can do, you're used to getting things done quickly and well, right? And proficiently. So when you're a beginner and you're an adult and have this high standard and you feel like you are pretty good at a lot of things, and you play the piano and you're playing like not really good and you don't really know what you're doing, that can be really frustrating. So to counteract this, you can get a teacher, and your teacher can hold you accountable. They can make sure you're practicing on the things that you should be working on. They can make sure that your goals are being hit. They can make sure that the practice session is tailored to you. They can answer all of your questions. And of course, they can keep you accountable and motivated, because there's going to come days where you don't feel like practicing, right? We just talked about consistency. There's going to come days where you don't feel like practicing. There's going to come days where you feel silly because you can't get something even though you've been practicing over and over again. And if you have a teacher, they can help you work through all of those mental blocks and the physical blocks. A lot of people don't really think about this, because when you think of a piano teacher, you probably think of somebody teaching you how to play chords, they teach you how to play songs, right? Things like that, which is true. But another big, big plus of having a teacher is that they can help you mentally. So they can hold you accountable. Again, if you don't feel like practicing, they can kind of give you a kick in the butt so you practice. They can pick you up when you're feeling down. They can help you when you're feeling frustrated. It's not just the physical aspects piano teachers can help with, it's also the mental. And the people who progress fastest at the piano, they all have teachers, guaranteed. They all have teachers. They all have somebody who's giving them feedback on their playing, and they're taking that feedback to heart, and they're making the changes that need to be made. So getting a teacher should really be point number one. Getting a teacher is super helpful for you, especially again, if you're just starting out. We can build those habits the correct way from the get-go. Point number three is people who progress faster at the piano practice painfully slow. So I've talked about this before. If you just search the channel Painfully Slow, it'll come up as a video. But people who make the most progress practice slowly. They pick up a new piece, a new skill, and they practice so slowly that they can't make a mistake. They practice so slowly that it doesn't even sound like music anymore, because it's so slow. There's no rhythm, there's no tempo, there's no phrasing. All of that gets thrown out the window. And when you're practicing this slow, the positive about it is that you can hit the right notes every single time. So you should be going so slow that you are thinking consciously of every note you're supposed to hit, and you're not hitting that note unless it's the correct one. And why this is so useful, why it's so important, is because most people, they try to play the full song immediately, right? So if we just take a specific piece that you're working on, they'll try to play the whole thing from start to finish, or they'll try to take these huge chunks, like 10 measures in a row, and they'll try to play the whole thing from start to finish. And when they do that, they make 25 different mistakes, and then they start over. They make 25 new mistakes, they start over, and they just keep going around and around in this cycle. What you should be doing, and what people do who actually make fast progress at the piano, is they go extremely slow, and every time they practice, they're practicing the correct notes. And when they do this, what happens is your brain subconsciously understands what you're doing. It understands what you want it to do. So if you're playing measures 1 through 5, and measures 1 through 4 are perfect, measures 5 you keep messing up, you want to just take measure 5 by itself, slow it down, and play every single note perfectly. What's going to happen is you're going to start to develop that mind muscle memory, and your brain is going to be on the same page as you as your actual body movements, and you're going to be able to learn the piece a lot faster, guaranteed. If you've never tried this before, this can be a game changer for you. So next piece that you learn, or even the current piece that you're working on, do what I just told you to do, go painfully slow. Again, I have a whole video about this that goes much more in depth. Next point number 4, is people who make progress fast make the most of their practice time. So another one that sounds simple, not always easy to do. So when I say they make the most, I mean a couple of things. First of all, they time their practice session. So they use their iPhone, they pull up the stopwatch, or they have a literal stopwatch, or whatever it is. They time their practice session, and they have a plan for their practice session. So even if you only have 20 minutes per day to practice, those 20 minutes should be broken up. You should say the first 5 minutes is this, then the next 5 minutes is going to be this, and then the last 10 minutes are going to be this. You should have all this broken up. And the timer, what that's going to do is it's going to help you keep you on track. It's going to hold you accountable. It's going to act like a teacher in the fact that it will hold you accountable, and you'll be more likely to do what you're supposed to be doing. People who don't use their practice time effectively, they don't time it, what they're doing, and they don't come in with a plan. So they sit down at the piano, and the first 10 minutes they're scrolling Instagram. Then the next 5 minutes they're looking at their emails. Then the next 5 minutes their pet comes running into the room and they have to give him attention, right? And all of these things suck time away from your practice. They pull your focus away. And even if you're sitting there for an hour, for 2 hours, it's not going to be good practice, and you're not going to really progress because a lot of that time you were distracted and a lot of that time got wasted. That's why it's much more beneficial to just stick with shorter practice times, make sure that you're staying focused during those practice times, and make sure that you're being consistent. Next point, and the last point here, is they practice the majority of the time and they don't play. So people who make the most amount of progress, they practice and they don't play. I should have a video of that already out. So if you're watching this, just search the channel practicing versus playing, it should come up. But practicing the piano and playing the piano is a difference. You might be saying, well, as long as your hands are on the keys and as long as you're playing songs, then you're going to get better, right? No, not necessarily. Practicing the piano is being conscious of what you're doing, and it's having a game plan and a goal for that practice session. So if we go back to our earlier example, you struggle with measure number 5. What you don't do is you don't go from measures 1 through 5 and just keep looping around, because measures 1 through 4 you have down. You understand those, you can play them well. You don't need to keep playing them. Focus on what you're struggling. So in the example, it would be measure 5. Focus on measure 5, give your entire practice session, if need be, to understanding measure 5, to understanding the phrasing of it, to making sure that you're hitting the right notes. And if it takes your entire time, then so be it. Because the next day when you come back after you sleep on it, you're going to have that light bulb moment. You're going to have that breakthrough where that measure that was difficult isn't as difficult anymore. What you don't want to do, again, playing the piano is playing what you already know. So playing measures 1 through 4, if you already know them, playing songs that you already know, that you already feel comfortable with, that are under your fingers, that's playing the piano. Practicing is trying to play what you don't know and trying to get some kind of goal down for that practice session. And to be clear, it's not to say that playing should never be done. I usually have one day a week that's dedicated. My day is usually Sunday. Sundays, I'll go to the piano and all I do is play. I don't work on arpeggios. I don't do any sight reading. I don't work on a new song or a measure that I'm struggling with. I just play. And I play songs that I already know. I try to play songs by ear because that's fun for me and I consider that playing. And I just have fun. I improvise. I try to experiment, learn new things. That's fine. That's good. Playing is good. You should be doing that as well. But the majority of your time, I would say 80-20, should be about playing or practicing the piano, not playing. The people who make the most progress fastest, they practice much more than they play. So just to recap here, how you can learn piano faster like some other people. Point number one, you need to be consistent. Point number two, you need to work with a teacher. Point number three, you need to practice painfully slow. Point four, you need to be focused in your practice sessions and make the most use of the time that you have. And point number five, you want to practice much more than you play. If you do all of those 5 things, I guarantee you, without a doubt in my mind, that you will start learning the piano much, much faster than you currently are, guaranteed. And when that happens for you, when you start learning piano better and you can play more songs and you're learning songs faster, I want to hear about it in the comments below. So please let me know when that happens for you down below. In addition, to wrap things up, I do have a free guide on my website. Link is down below. It has 34 more essential tips for the late start beginner piano player, so that you can play the piano the way you always wanted to. In addition, I am offering lessons right now via Zoom. So if you don't have a teacher, reach out to me at the email below. We'll set up a day and a time that works best for you so that you can make progress as fast as possible. With all that said, again, my name is Josh LaFleur with Late Start Piano, and happy practicing.